Dorgon lets out a fierce roar in the middle of the match, catching the attention of every warrior around him. While the restaurant owner was shocked by his sudden appearance, Lena stood against him with a fearless look on her face. The other warriors didn't back down as well as they started to charge towards Dorgon, hitting him from all sides as they thought that they could win against him with their numbers. But just a single mighty swing from his arm was enough to send most of them flying everywhere in the battlefield. This sight made some of the warriors hesitate about facing him in combat, but Ashley appears with her whip, telling the scared warriors to bite down on their fingers patiently and wait as she charges into the fight against Dorgon fearlessly by herself. It turns out that she wasn't alone as Lena charges alongside her, asking Ashley if she planned on fighting Dorgon alone. With a wink on her face, she tells Lena that she knew that someone would come by her side. This comment makes her blush. And so, the ladies started their attack with Lena coming from the top while Ashley took the bottom. As Lena strikes the shoulder of Dorgon, she feels that something is off. Daisuke then shouts at Ashley to move after she barely dodges Dorgon's reach. He appears running and gunning, shooting an endless stream of bullets towards Dorgon, who could only block the bullets with his arm. As he stood in front of Ashley, Daisuke takes the time to ask her if she was alright, which surprises her. Lena joins in to make it a threesome party now as Daisuke reveals to her that he had changed his ammo into live rounds. Our boy isn't playing around with fake bullets now, but the holes that his bullets made on Dorgon's arm started to heal itself. The servant of Hildert in the stand was impressed by it, as he took note of how the grafted tissue was regenerating. He then reports to Hildert that the regeneration is a success, but all he sees is that it was fine. The servant wanted to report this immediately to their country, but Hildert didn't care at all, telling him that his only passion lies in letting Dorgon out in the matches. And so, he stands up and orders Dorgon to bring everyone down on their knees using his overwhelming strength. Just then, one of the warriors leaps forward, announcing himself as Herodias III. He challenges Dorgon to a duel but is simply kicked away by the giant in an instant. The crowd goes wild over this as they exclaim that Dorgon was also going to win this match, but one of them spots the guy with the weird clothes. It turns out to be Daisuke, who could be seen charging forward with his gun in hand. He stands in front of the others and ruthlessly unleashes a hail of bullets onto Drogon. The other warriors cheered Daisuke on as he continued to fire, happy by the fact that Drogon was now the one who was getting the beating of his life. Finally, with each bullet shot, Daisuke manages to get close enough and fires his shotgun at him just as the warriors tell him to finish it. But even after taking the shotgun blast at point-blank range, Daisuke was shocked to see that Drogon was still standing. Even the other warriors were alarmed to see this, wondering how it was possible for him to stand after receiving all those hits. Drogon's wound started to heal in the smoke as the crowd started to go even more crazy. Hildert himself was feeling excited over how much he wanted to see Daisuke fight against Drogon. So he starts to cast a spell, ordering Drogon to fight against Daisuke. He immediately followed Hildert's commands and chased after our boy, who was alarmed to see this. Ashley appears by his side, telling him that it was clear that Drogon was now aiming for him. Knowing this, Daisuke decides to create some distance between them, making Ashley wonder what he was going to do. As he lets Drogon chase him, he thought of a new idea. Seeing that his arm was reaching out for him, Daisuke turns around to push it to the side, before aiming his shotgun right into Drogon's face. Bang! Went the shotgun as it blasted Drogon's face at point-blank range. The attack was effective as the giant finally falls onto the ground. The warriors celebrated over the fact that Daisuke had done it. Even Ashley and Lena cheered him on for his success as he explains to them that even though the shotgun wasn't able to do significant damage, he knew that if he aimed straight for the helmet, then the shock would directly hit the brain, causing Drogon to faint from the concussion. He continues to tell them that no matter how strong their body has become, you cannot train your brain the same way, which meant that Drogon wouldn't be able to move for a while after this. But then the giant started to rise like a zombie. Daisuke watches with shock as the giant starts to move once again. Drogon lets out another fierce attack that barely misses Daisuke, who in return fires another point-blank range shotgun blast into his head. But Drogon was still able to withstand it, leaving Daisuke confused on how he was able to move even after receiving a direct hit to the head. This time, Drogon manages to land an elbow attack onto Daisuke, causing him to tumble across the ground before coming to a stop. Lena sees him lying on the ground unconscious and tries to call out to him. Hildert, on the other hand, was celebrating over the fact that Drogon had won against Daisuke, but then his helmet fell onto the ground, leaving everyone in the arena with a surprised expression on their faces. It turns out that Drogon had no face at all. The warriors couldn't believe what they were seeing. It turns out that Drogon's face was made of stone and that he wasn't a human being at all. Even Ashley was stunned to see that they were fighting this thing the entire time. Hildert laughs at their reactions, telling them that there was no way a human like Drogon could exist. He reveals to them that Drogon was actually a living construct powered by his own life force, a stone golem. The crowd of the arena themselves couldn't believe that Drogon wasn't human. The servant beside Hildert tells him that they should stop the match, but Hildert didn't want to at all. So the servant explains to him that since the golem has let go of the helmet, then it would regain its original strength, which would result in casualties from the side of the spectators. And so what? Was the reply that Hildert gave to the servant, who was horrified by his words. A stone golem is a giant made of boulders that doesn't have a sense of self. Possessing astounding strength and near impregnable defense power. Its insane power was enough to cause the warriors to beg as they tried to escape from the battle, but it was no use as Drogon's shadow casted over them, before an immense explosion was caused. The spectators watching began to panic, telling everyone to run or else they were going to die. With everything that's happening, Daisuke was still lying on the ground, not moving an inch. The restaurant owner pops up beside Lena, shouting at her that they should run for their lives right now, but Lena refuses, telling her that they couldn't let the golem get away from the arena. Ashley agrees with what she said as she stood beside her, reminding them that they wouldn't get the prize if they didn't win. Their words seemed to have an effect on the spectators as they stood in awe of them. With a pissed-off face, our waifu charges towards Drogon, angry over the fact that it had hurt Daisuke. She wasn't the only one, as the other warriors tried to attack Drogon, but it was no use as it simply blew them away. The sight of it destroying everything made the remaining warriors feel like there was no way that they could win. Ashley was thinking about how bad things were since there was a golem. As she looked around the arena, she realized that Daisuke, the one whom she wanted to rely on, had been defeated, and also, there was no way she could scale the walls to let Ethan go. So as the golem continued to whack the shit out of everyone, Hildert was still celebrating with joy, as the sight of the golem stomping on everyone was enough to turn him on. In the midst of the battle, Heribodius III was checking up on Daisuke, who finally regained consciousness. Heribodius III explains to him that Drogon was actually a golem. Daisuke seems to regain his fighting spirit. Pressing his glasses onto his face, he reaches into his inventory space, taking out something that surprises Heribodius III. Hildert was still happily commanding the golem to kill and attack everyone, and so it did. Its latest victim was Lena, who couldn't fully block its attack, causing her to fall onto the ground. Ashley sees this and attacks the golem with her whip, telling it to stop. With a more turned-on face, Hildert laughs like a mad clown, telling them that there was no way for his golem to be stopped. The moment he said that, a part of the golem's shoulder was blown away into pieces. Much to the shock and surprise of everyone, Hildert couldn't understand what was happening to his precious golem. Amongst the smoke in the arena, Daisuke was lying on the ground, but this time, he was holding the dream weapon of every boy. Lena and Ashley were filled with joy to see that he was okay now. Heribodius III tells him that he had done a good job, but Daisuke wasn't impressed with his shot, as he tells Heribodius III that he had missed since this was the first time he was using this gun. But he assures Heribodius III that the next shot won't miss. Lena turns around, all amazed by the massive weapon that Daisuke was now using. The gun I'm sure most of us like. Hildert couldn't believe that he was still alive and was pissed off by the fact that Daisuke had something that could damage his precious golem. So he orders his golem to kill Daisuke right away. As the golem follows Hildert's command to kill, Daisuke remained in his sniper position, aiming at the golem which was coming his way. Silently waiting for the right moment, Daisuke finally lets out a single shot from his massive sniper rifle, destroying the golem's arm in a single blow. Just the impact of the golem's arm dropping onto the ground was enough to almost blow everyone away, all except Hildert, who once again is horrified to see what was happening to his precious golem. The crowd that was still in the arena were amazed by what Daisuke had done. Heribodius III went on to ask him about what his weapon is. Daisuke introduces it as the Barrett M82 50 caliber anti-material rifle. Or as I call it, the Booty Smasher. Daisuke tells him that the weapon was developed for shooting objects that assault rifles and machine guns alike aren't able to penetrate. It possesses enough firepower to deter even armored vehicles and attack helicopters. So we come back to Hildert, who curses at Daisuke once again for harming his precious golem, vowing to kill him eventually. The golem was still able to charge towards the warriors in the arena, even with its arm blown off. Lena sees this and immediately calls out to our boy, who fires another powerful shot at the golem. This time, he took out its leg, causing it to fall flat on its face. Hildert could only scream the word shit as he witnessed this sight. The crowd and warriors go wild as they couldn't believe that Daisuke had actually done it. Ashley was amazed as well by his tremendous feat. Lena rushes to him, asking him if he was alright. All he could reply with was a painful grunt. Hearing this kind of reply, Herodias III asks him what was wrong. But soon realizes that Daisuke had been firing away with his legs broken by the golem from its previous attack. Seeing that his condition had been discovered, Daisuke asks if he could get a hand. We now turn to the girls. As Ashley mentions that Daisuke was now the winner, Lena notices something else. A group of warriors were making their way towards our boy. So Lena and Ashley blocks their path, telling the group of warriors that if they planned on defeating Daisuke, then they had to go through them first. But one of the warriors tells them that they wouldn't do such a thing as they knew that he was out of their league. Another warrior couldn't believe that there was someone like him in their world, which gave him the creeps. Hildert starts to curse himself, but soon snaps. He started to cast a spell, calling for the golem to use his power and rise once more. Everyone could see what he was doing, and as the rocks started to float into the air, they knew that this fight wasn't over yet. Massive rocks and stones started to flow around, creating Golem once again. The warriors started to panic once they see that Golem had been revived. Even Hildert's servant was begging him to stop as he knew that this was too reckless. He reveals that the Golem was the creation of their country's greatest sorcerer called Grem, who used the most sophisticated sorcery manufacturing methods. He continues to warn Hildert that the Golem he was creating was going to be dangerous and unstable, but he doesn't listen, telling his servant to shut up. Looking at Daisuke, he blames it all on him, for destroying the golem that their king had given to him. The golem was slowly reviving, but this time, it was the size of a Gundam. The warriors started to argue with Hildert, telling him that what he was doing was dirty since the match was over. They wanted him to give them the prize already, but Hildert tells them that he didn't care about the tournament anymore. The only thing he cared about was to kill Daisuke. As the golem started to make its way towards our boy once again, Lena rose to the challenge, telling our boy that she and Ashley were gonna take care of the golem. The Gigachad Herodias III steps up as well, announcing himself to the golem once again, but upon seeing its massive size, he decided to run away this time. Knowing that this fight was beyond reckless. But he didn't run away alone, he went on to pick up Daisuke and carried him far away from the golem. As they run away together, Herodias III tells him that the only thing that worked against the golem was the attack he did before, but he also knew that it would be hard for Daisuke to fight in his current condition. The farmers who were forced to fight in the battle were able to find a way out. Seeing this, Ashley turns to Ethan, telling him to go with everyone. But he asks Ashley about why she wasn't coming with them. She simply tells him that she has some people here that she couldn't leave behind. So she tells him to go, knowing that his mother was waiting for his safe return. We now turn to the golem who was smashing away at the remaining warriors in the arena. Hildert was excited by this sight, telling everyone to run with all their might. As Ashley joins Lena by her side, she tells her to get his attention away from a moment as she could see that the golem wasn't targeting Daisuke on its own will. She also knew that Hildert was the one who was making it do so, meaning that if he loses sight of Daisuke, then they could buy him some time to run away from here. Lena immediately understood Ashley's plan as she rushed forward, telling her that she was going to do her best. But then she stops and turns around, telling Ashley that she was actually a nice person. Her compliment made her blush, before she yelled at Lena to get moving. With a serious face on, Ashley couldn't believe that she was going to use this method. As her hair twirled in the air, a bright light appeared all around her. Ashley was casting a spell using her cursed crest, asking it to grant her the power. Lena on the other hand had unleashed her attack called the Sonic Zapper onto Hildert, but it merely drew his attention. He looks at her, calling her an imbecile knight for thinking that the attack would get him down from there. Feeling confident, he tells her that he was going to kill her after Daisuke. But then he couldn't spot our boy in the arena anymore before a loud thumping sound was everywhere. Even the warriors could feel the immense pressure of the thumping sound. They wondered what the hell was that noise, thinking that something else was coming out. What they said turned out to be true as a massive shadow was seen hidden in the smoke. It was revealed to be Drogon, fully decked out in its gladiator armor. Much to the shock of everyone, including Hildert, who was confused by what was going on. Lena turns to see that something was happening to Ashley, making her think that this was all her doing. As the two Drogons face off against one another, Lena could only wonder what Ashley was planning on doing.
Thanks for watching the latest part from the voice of Manhwa. Subscribe for more content and don't forget to comment below what you want to see in the future. Like and share for more.